Oh yes, well I think we used to go to dances at the Duke of Cornwall. And also Swarthmore and Mutley Plain, a Quaker background, and they had evening classes there. And that's where I met my wife. And a music appreciation class, and then we had a dance, and I took another girl to this dance and met Jennifer and dropped the other girl, yes. And there were also coffee shops. There's what's a sort of music machine? I forget what you call them now.
Jukebox?
Jukebox, yes. Coffee shop with jukeboxes. That was very common. We used to go to the Tech College, which is now the university, on courses, and then after the evening class, we'd go down to the coffee shop on East Street with the jukebox.
We decided that there was a gang of us who were all studying for our exams, the lab technicians. We decided we'd cut loose one day and go down to the Saturday night dance, ballroom dancing. And that's where I met my husband, at the Saturday night dances at the Duke of Cornwall. Other than that, I didn't take part in the nightlife too much. Oh, and I used to like to go to the cinemas, because in those days we had the Royal, the Gaumont, and the Odeon. And Auntie Em and I used to love to go and see a film, the two of us. It was always full, people enjoying a film, but it was just an evening's entertainment. There was a show on at the House Theatre, which was the host, the wooden shack. And my husband and I took part with the Carmenians in that, which was very, very, very interesting. We ran for a month, and they said amateurs couldn't do it, but we proved them wrong. Oh yes, and the Carmenians did do a show on the stage at the Palace Theatre, which I think it was Showboat. I'm not quite sure. I think it was Showboat. But I can remember I was one of the black chorus, because I had to black my face. I quite enjoyed that.
You know the Palace Theatre?
Palace, gosh, yes. I used to go to the Palace. That was a real day out. That was go and see the stage shows in the Palace, see various stars and that. I wanted to advertise on the radio, and I used to do the radio. And when the Palace Theatre had all their celebrity, it's coming to me now, celebrities now like that, I used to meet these, like Frankie Howard. I got pictures of them. I used to invite them out at home.
I can remember we had parties, for street parties, for the coronation and things like that. We had all that, and street parties up the street where we lived in St. Budo. I went as, I think at Royal Britannia. My sister went as Little Miss Muffet, and Chrissy went as a fairy. I think my sister
got what it's called now, the swimming pool, the man-made swimming pool down there, the Lido, and we all used to go in there. We used to hop over the side into that place without paying. We had our own little route because it used to get really seaweedy. If you had it's hard on your feet, the pebbles and the shells on the beach. So we used to nip over into the Lido and to do a bit of swimming in the pool and nip back over again.
Plymouth is amazing. You come in on Brittany ferries early in the morning, see Plymouth Hoe, Dartmoor behind. It couldn't be in a better place. You can go on Dartmoor one way, go to the beach on the other, and I think it's situated in a perfect place.
So back in the late 70s, early 80s, would be a prime time for me visiting Plymouth nightlife. There was a bit of a drinking culture at the time, and I was a member of a rugby club. The club I used to go to at the end of the evening would have been at one called Woods. That was always a very interesting club. It was renowned for its heavy metal and peak discos. So interesting old club. I can claim to have seen the Police there 3 times, the Sex Pistols. If you wanted to go find some women, you probably had to go to Fiestas in Mayflower Street. Nowhere near as interesting a club, and very sad, but it did have a better clientele from that respect. You can head down Union Street. There's the famous Diamond Lills. That used to be quite a friendly and interesting pub, I think, run by a transvestite piano player. The usual end of the evening's entertainment was being invited up on the stage to strip, and you were allowed to have a drink of your choice. Well, I couldn't believe people used to ask for about half a cider, but that's one side of it.
When I used to go out with my mates, we used to go pub crawling, so to the barbecue down Union Street. We used to love it down to Union Street, because down there, in those days, there was always fights, because you had the Marine barracks there, and you had the Army barracks out at Crown Hill. They always made for Union Street down there, because every other place down there, every other building down there was a pub. And we used to love going down there like that, because come, 9, 10 o'clock of the evening, there were fights all over the place between the Navy and the Marines and stuff. And we used to love that, to see a good scrap.
Well, of course, in those days, service people always went, I'm afraid it's the wardroom more than anything else, went to the sailing school, and I knew Peter Gaskell Brown, who ran it, Ralph on the door, and that in fact was a way to meet particularly local ladies, but of course there would be quite a number of the local people of a similar age, young men, and so there was always a slight friction, which was in good heart. And of course you put your beer on the beam, and of course you knock the other beer off the other side of the beam, and that would trigger off a slight altercation, which was part of the fun.
There was always the naval provost who used to stick a paddy wagon down the end of the streets, and they would just wade in if there was trouble and collect everything that looked like a serviceman, throw them in the back of the wagon. I'm assuming they all ended up in front of the chief officer next day with a hangover and probably a headache.
And then there was the incredible Diamond Lills, of course. There was in the Union Street, which was theatrical in its whole way of being. There was the Star of the West, which my young daughter used to go in and drink vast quantities of snakebite. I deplore it, but loved it as well. And then, of course, there was the extraordinary nightclub, the Pussycat Club, at the back of the Palace Theatre, which I got thrown out of for moving the stripper's chair, but that was another place to go to. It's full of character.
I remember saying to my daughter, I'm going to pick you up at 12 o'clock. Oh, no, everybody says to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. No, I'm picking you up at 12 o'clock. I came to pick her up at 12 o'clock. Somebody came out of the nightclub, was sick on the pavement. Yes, I did the right thing, pick her up at 12 o'clock.